Hello, boys, men, and sirs. Welcome back to Austin Avenue, and today's first ever Hot Takes. Hi, who's this? Oh, hi, it's an unpopular opinion. Are you ready for it? Oh, we're ready for it. Yes, sirs. Urban Dictionary defines hot takes as unpopular or controversial opinions. We're gonna be doing less opinions and more good questions about some of today's biggest political, social platform, and pop culture events of this week. Why? Well, because men, that's us, men are often degraded, denigrated, and degraded. All the above. In our world and our culture today, specifically really the Western 21st century culture.
You cannot be for real.
And hopefully as we continue to go forward, we'll talk about what that actually means. Here's the definition of degraded that we'll be using today. And if we as men just kind of sit in this culture that continues to degrade and devalue manhood and masculinity, well, it'll kind of be like the frog in the pot of water. Not familiar with this story? Let me tell you about it, or as far as I can remember. Story goes that the way to cook a frog is to not just throw it into a pot of boiling water, it'll hop right out and escape. The way that you eat a frog, the way to boil a frog is to sit it in a pot of lukewarm to cool water and then slowly heat it up until that sucker goes bottom up. And so, with that gruesome and hopefully thought-provoking metaphor just sitting in your mental space, let's jump right in. Boo! But not into the boiling pot. First up, politics. Let's go. Hot takes! On October 10th, Democratic candidate Elizabeth Warren attended and participated in the CNN Equality Town Hall meeting. During her portion of the meeting, she was asked this question and gave this answer.
And a supporter approaches you and says, "Senator, I'm old-fashioned, and my faith teaches me that marriage is between one man and one woman." What is your response?
Well, I'm going to assume it's a guy who said that.
All right, let's pause right there. I want to encourage you to think about this a little bit deeper. We heard what her words said, but what is the unpackaged message here about us as guys, about our value, about what we believe, about our place in society and where we line up? What is the assumption being made about men and our intelligence and our values and where we stand in this culture and what we have to offer? That is not the end of Warren's statement. She continues by saying this.
And I'm going to say, then just marry one woman. I'm cool with that. Assuming you can find one.
What is the unpackaged message that Warren is giving to her audience right here? What is it saying about how she feels towards men with a diverse set of beliefs? What do they deserve and why? If we think about this and really dig down into it, this is really quite cruel and heartless. It's a heartless thing to say to people with diverse beliefs. Guys, quite honestly, this sounds more like schoolyard bullying tactics as opposed to reason and logic-based arguments for any kind of LGBTQ issue. Let's switch the paradigm just a little bit to get a new perspective. What if the world was different and we lived in a matriarchal society, and in this situation the men were women and the women were men? Let's see how that would play out. Hi, Senator, Mr. Warren, how are ya? I'm a woman, strong and independent. What if on the campaign trail someone came up to you and said, I'm a traditionalist, and my traditional beliefs tell me that marriage is between one man and one woman. I'm gonna make the assumption that it was a woman who would believe such a thing. And I would just say, marry one man then. If you can find one, honey. Wow. How do we think people would respond to that? If a man disrespected and devalued the opinion of a woman like that, even a woman with contradicting beliefs to the senator's own. Guys, you are valuable, have worth, and deserve the pursuit of happiness regardless of your beliefs and your opinions. Any opinion that degrades and devalues and desires pain and hurt and loneliness for you because of contradicting beliefs is very similar to the definition of prejudice. Guys, think about who you are and what your identity means outside of the cruelty that someone else may speak over it, even if that person is in power. Alrighty, thank you. Next, let's move on to social platforms. Who's seen these kinds of ads on Instagram or Facebook, or I don't have a Snapchat, but perhaps they're there too. They're ads that feature these really ripped, muscular dudes, often white, often flawless, often pushing some kind of new training program or wellness coach or life coach or skin cream or something. As you consume these advertisements featuring the flawless, ideal, acceptable male body, think about what assumptions are being made about how you, as a man, view your own body, view your own identity, and view your own self-worth. What is being marketed as the key and narrow narrative to success? The bigger question, why do they work? Why do they pull us in? Why do we scroll past and think, damn, I wish I was that guy. I wish I did look like that. What are we trying to prove to ourselves? What are we trying to prove to others? Why do we need to prove this? Boys, our bodies are a huge part of who we are as people. But just as women have been learning that there is pain and turmoil and disappointment when the body is placed as the key to success, that there is a narrow box for what the ideal body looks like, we have to learn those lessons too. Learn that those are lies. Guys, as we're consuming these advertisements on social platforms, we have to ask ourselves, what is the line between health and a toxic fantasization over an idealistic, acceptable male body? Finally, the hot take on pop culture. For weeks, I think 23 to be exact, in her music video, before ditching a male for herself, which I guess is her ideal partner, marrying yourself? Who is this guy who stands opposite of Lizzo right here? How does this perpetuation of an ultimate acceptable male body hurt men? What kind of behaviors and ideas about our value and our identity are communicated us when this is the version of masculinity and ultimate manhood put forward? What kind of messages does it send to women about what kind of man they should be desiring or pursuing? The media and the messages that we consume are teachers to us. They really are. What are the lessons that are being shared and how are they being applied to your life? Men, own your manhood as a real man with a real body in a real world. Learn, as women have been learning with the female empowerment movement, that there are lots of different ways to express your manhood. There's lots of different ways to be you. And so perhaps our last hot take is, you don't have to settle for the BS. Think and ask questions as you consume. And as always, stay studly.